All right. Let me make sure. All right. Hey, everybody. So, so I'm normally wearing my sexology hat. Today, I am wearing my family medicine hat because they're all really connected. And today, what we're talking about is something that I've noticed is happening. So, we turned vegan, and now all of a sudden, we've gained weight. We're more tired than we normally are, and we just don't feel good, right? So what's going on there? So what we're going to talk about are the pitfalls that people fall into when they're going vegan. So let's define what vegan is. So vegan really is no meat, no dairy, no eggs, right? That's vegan. Now, if you've gone vegetarian, that's a little different. So being a vegetarian just means that you're not eating any fish or meat products. But now that we've got the definition out of the way, what I really want to talk about are the 5 ways that it's making you sick, it's making you fat, and it's making you tired. This diet can be something that changes your life. It can revolutionize things in terms of your health and your wellness, in terms of inflammation, heart disease, and all these things. But you got to kind of do it right and take some things into consideration. So let's just get started right off the bat. So the first mistake we're making is the Impossible Burger. It's impossible. It's wonderful. You know, we've got these meatless burgers, and what's happening is we've got these meatless restaurants popping up all over the place. The food is fantastic. It's good, and I can't believe it's not meat, right? The problem is that when you start to rely on that as your everyday, that's just as bad as going and having a burger every day, right? Because that food, that meat, that meatless product is highly processed. So when you go vegan and you go vegetarian, sure, you can have this at lunchtime once a week or something like that, but this shouldn't be your staple product because it's not made with organic products. It's processed. It's got a lot of salt and sodium. Sometimes there's sugar in it. And then when you go to the restaurants, they put so much sauce on it. So now you've got the salt, and you've got the sugar, and then you've got this meatless product. So the meatless burger, the meatless product, the I can't believe it's not meats are fantastic. But as a vegan, that can't be the main source of your diet. If so, you will gain weight. You will start to feel tired, and before you know it, some health issues will pop up. So this is something we actually are excited about this because maybe it'll help you wean down the amount of meat that you have every day, like the amount of red meat that you have, but it shouldn't be your staple product. When you go vegan, what that means is you should be eating more vegetables, right? Not focusing mostly on these meatless products. The next part. The other piece of it, too much processed food. So what happens is once you become vegan, you may not have a plan for it. So as a result of it, you're really spending a lot of time eating what's available, and what's not meat. Anything that's not meat, we'll have it, we'll eat it. And so if you see in the picture here, you see bagels, you see chips, you see burgers, you see breads, crackers, cakes, chips, French fries. So when you're moving away from meat, like I know for a fact that when my DNA is analyzed, that I am the type of person that does really well with lean cuts of meat. Like if I didn't have a little bit of meat in my diet, I would probably be about 20 pounds heavier. So make sure that when you're on these restrictive diets that you've talked to your physician about it, maybe even taking it one step further and seeing a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor who can actually help you decide which type of diet is right for you. Should you go blood type? Should you go paleo? Should you go vegan? There's all these different things, but honestly, this trend that we're seeing to go vegan is making a lot of people really sick, and we're seeing it time and time again. Influencers are coming out of the closet and saying, yeah, you caught me eating fish and meat, but it was because I was sick. My hair was falling out. I wasn't feeling good. So what I want to do is take you through the pitfalls, but also give you the tools necessary that if you are going to go vegan, there's a few things that you have to keep in mind that you're going to have to add into your diet and or supplement. All right. So number 2, first was the meatless products, eating too much of that. The next part of that is processed food. The meatless products, believe it or not, are processed food. So we're putting that in the same category. When we want you to eat healthy and of the earth, we mean unprocessed processed food, like stuff you picked, you grew it, you hunted it, as bad as hunting sounds. Yeah, you hunted it. I had to explain to my daughter the other day that when she saw this group of pigs, next to us in this big semi, she's like, Mommy, where are the pigs going? Ah, they're going so that you can have some bacon at Gammy's house later. She's like, oh, that's bad. But she still ate the bacon at Gammy's house later. So the next piece of it, what is about your vegan diet is making you sick, fat, and tired? Not eating enough vegetables, right? Every day you should be having vegetables for all of your meals, with all of your meals. And if you're not, what you're doing is you're lacking in nutrients. And when we talk about vegetables, not just a broccoli, not just a romaine lettuce, what happens is if you take the same vegetable every day and you're only eating the same vegetable, now you're going to end up malnourished in a different way. So I think of it like this. When I was in college, I had a little iguana by the name of Bob. And every day I fed Bob iceberg lettuce. And what do you think happened to Bob? Bob died premature death, right? Because there's no nutrients in iceberg lettuce, and he was getting the same thing over and over again. So when you're going for leafy vegetables, greener, leafier vegetables, iceberg lettuce doesn't have any nutritional content in it, just a lot of water. And we want to eat the rainbow. When we say eat the rainbow, you want to eat some reds, you want to eat some purples, you want to eat some blues, you want to eat some oranges, you want to eat some yellows, you want to eat some greens, because what we know is those dyes, the pigment of the vegetables and the fruit, there's actually a high amount of nutrients in that, and it gives us the variety we need to stay healthy. The next thing that's going on with your vegan diet that's making you fat, tired, and or sick is not going organic. And if you follow me, if you've been a student of mine at the Dr. Rachael Institute, you know that I try to educate you on how much pesticide is really in what you're eating. And unfortunately, if you're not getting organic produce and you're juicing every morning, you might be having a Roundup. That Roundup, the pesticide. You might be having a pesticide slushy, right? So particularly those of you who are eating raw vegetables and you're washing them and you're juicing them and you're making smoothies, these really should be organic vegetables. The problem with pesticides is that the pesticides get into your system. Yes, they are at an increase. They do increase your risk of developing cancer. But on the shorter end of it, what they do is they disrupt this thing called the microbiome, right? Our gut has all this fantastic bacteria that keeps us healthy, that keeps us thin, that keeps us smart. And what actually we find that the pesticides do is they disrupt that. And that they load up your body so your body is full of toxins, and your body, your liver, your kidneys, and everything can't do what it's supposed to do. So when you can buy organic, you should. Of course, you're going to eat out from time to time. And is that food organic? Most of the time it's not. But the stuff that you bring in your house, you should slowly try to wean yourself off of the regular stuff and go organic. The prices are coming down. Aldi has a great organic section. Walmart even has organic produce now. So there's really no reason to not. And then if you can't find it in your area, guess what? We can start a garden out back and start growing some of it, okay? So we're talking about the top 5 reasons that your vegan diet, because this is the newest trend now. It's kind of like Red Lobster and Popeye's chicken sandwiches. Going vegan is great, but we've got to keep some things in mind. So this is for those of you who know somebody whose vegan diet, they're not looking right. They're looking a little ashy. Their hair is breaking out. They're falling out. They're looking a little thinner than normal. They are tired. Or they're actually gaining weight, one or the other. What we find too about pesticides is if you're loaded up with pesticides, and what they're doing now is we can test it in your urine. We can figure out if this is you. You have a hard time losing weight. You have a hard time concentrating. The list goes on. And imagine that's as adults. Imagine what it does to the kids and their brain development, right? So the next piece of this, and this is the piece I'm going to spend the most time. Okay, so this last piece that I'm going to spend the most time on is that, as a vegan, you're getting maybe fat, you're getting sick, maybe you're getting tired. one thing that you may not be getting are the essential nutrients that you need. And so what I'm going to do now is just kind of run through really quickly why it's so difficult as a vegan to get some of these nutrients and what you can be doing to make sure that you get them, that your family gets them, that your friends get them, because I want you to pass this on because the vegan thing is taking over. And so I want to make sure that we know what we need to stay healthy in this practice, right? And then for those of you who just asked, am I vegan? No, I'm not vegan. I eat a ton of vegetables every day, and I focus on lean cuts of meat. That's really important to me. I don't eat a whole lot of red meat. As a matter of fact, I don't eat any, but that's been since college. I started to feel like the slaughter thing with all the blood. It was just too much for me. So pork and beef became something that I did away with, but it wasn't necessarily for health reasons, because we know that if you're eating meat that happens to be organic, that happens to be pasture raised, that happens to be hormone and antibiotic free, meaning that nobody gave it any extra things to pump it up, that's actually a very healthy plan for most people. So no, I'm not vegan, but I have a lot of patients who are. So let's talk about the nutrients and some of the nutrients that you have to pay extra attention to make sure that you're getting. So the first one we're going to talk about is good old-fashioned iron. Now, signs that you are maybe iron deficient: shortness of breath, just you don't have the tolerance that you used to, you're out of shape, or maybe you're not, but you're just feeling a little bit more short of breath, maybe tired, maybe even getting up and feeling just a little dizzy every now and then. Well, the cool thing about iron is, we can get iron from some of our vegetables, and we can get iron from some of our beans and nuts and things. But the issue is there's two different types of iron, right? We have the heme iron, which comes from meat. And then we have the non-heme iron, which we can say traditionally comes from more of the vegetables and the legumes and the nuts. The problem with the one that we get from vegetables is that it's harder for our body to use it. Okay, so what happens is, and particularly in vegetables and things like that, is we have something called phytate. And what happens is it makes it even harder for your body to use the iron that's available. So even though we might take it in as a vegetable form, we got to figure out, is our body really using it? So some things that you can do to be mindful of this is, if you've sworn off meat products and you still need to get your iron, first thing, one, cook in iron cookware, right? I've got great cast iron pots, and what we know for a fact is that iron leaches out into our food and actually gives iron into our diet, right? And we, I could do a whole thing on cookware and the problems with some of the cookware we're using, but go iron. Get yourself a nice cast iron skillet and start cooking in there. Another thing that you can do is that when you're eating foods that are rich in iron, add a little vitamin C. Either supplement your vitamin C or add a little lemon to it, because what we know is that when vitamin C is consumed with that non-heme iron, that iron that's hard for us to use, it makes it easier for our body to use it, right? It makes it easier for our body to absorb the iron. So there are things that will counteract iron absorption, like tea and coffee, peppermint, chamomile, cocoa, calcium, all of those things. So when you are actually about to eat a diet that has your iron in it, you probably want to try to minimize those. This isn't a time to have a glass of coffee with it, because the coffee can actually make it so that your body can't even use the iron that's available, right? So keep in mind, as a vegan or a vegetarian, we've got for vitamin C, we've got peaches, we've got lemons, we've got papayas, sweet red peppers, berries, broccolis, peas. And so all of these things are important when you're trying to get your iron up. And keep in mind some non-meat bearing things when you want to increase your iron: nuts, seeds, dried fruits like raisins, dark leafy vegetables, chickpeas, beans. So for vegans, you've got to get comfortable with your beans. You got to get comfortable with your chickpeas. And as we go through this list, you'll see it's chickpeas, it's white beans, it's baked beans. Making sure that you add beans in your diet can really help counteract some of the issues that we see when people go vegan. All right, so let's see, what else do we have here? Let's go to our next one, which is calcium. So now when you think about calcium, think about your bones. Did you just break your foot and you're like, gosh, how did I break my foot? I really wasn't doing anything. So your bones are fragile. Your teeth, and maybe they're starting to feel loose. You're developing a little gum issues. Your hair isn't like it used to. It's breaking off. It's falling out. So this is important for muscle growth, skin, hair, nails, so on and so forth. And if you know anything about calcium, the majority of people usually get their calcium from some of the dairy products or the milk products, the cheese, the yogurt. Actually, sardines have a ton of calcium in it. So does broccoli, bok choy. Green leafy vegetables, winged beans, white beans, chickpeas, kale. And actually, what we see with vegetarians is a lot of them supplement with tofu. Tofu is a processed food, right? So it's not something that we want to just eat all day, every day, because if someone in a factory mushed it and made it and did all these things to it, added some stuff into it. So a lot of tofu is actually fortified with calcium and B12 and some of these things. So it's okay to have some in moderation, but you don't want to be that to be the bulk of what you're doing, right? So making sure that you're getting enough calcium is part of it, and maybe one of the reasons why you're gaining weight, you're not feeling right, your hair is brittle, so on and so forth. All right, and the next one is a big one. Vitamin B12. Now, we got a lot of vitamin B12 in things like liver and beef, sardines, clams. And when your vitamin B12 levels are low, you start to feel tired. Maybe you can't lose weight, memory issues, numbness, tingling, fingers, your fingers and toes, you're just not feeling right. Because vitamin B12 is important for the formation of red blood cells. It helps your body break down protein and make it usable. And it's important for DNA synthesis, right? The whole background of life. So if you are vegan, some ways that you can get more vitamin B12 is through seaweed. Nori seaweed has great amount of vitamin B12. You can supplement it. All these things that we're talking about that you're deficient in, you can actually supplement these as well. And one of the good things about the meatless products is that a lot of them are fortified or have added vitamin B12 to it, have added calcium to it. So you can do that, tofu, nutritional yeast, but keep in mind, those are all processed foods. So we want to come up with ways to avoid as much processed food as possible, eat more vegetables, and be in a good space with things. All right, so the next one is huge too. These are omega-3 fatty acids, and instead of putting up a picture of a salmon or mackerel up here, I put the actual capsules because pretty much for my vegan patients, I always say, you got to be on some omega-3 fatty acids. Now, there are some vegans that have it down to a science. They plan out their meals. They know what nutrients they're getting, and they can keep it balanced. But for the average person who's busy, got kids, you got a life, you don't want to micromanage, you might have to go with supplements. Now, omega-3 fatty acids are so important. They have been known to decrease the risk of heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation, dementia even. So with that being said, omega-3 fatty acids are kind of like the building blocks of what we need to just stay healthy, right? And so a lot of us get them from our diet. Some of us have to supplement them. So when it's low, you feel things like fidgety, can't pay attention. That's ADHD kicking in. You feel a little depressed, maybe low, not yourself. You're having some bowel issues, maybe feeling allergic to a lot of things. Now, the interesting thing about omega-3 fatty acids is we can supplement, and we get it a lot from fish oils. We get it from salmon and mackerel, but we also can get it from algae. And for those of you who are vegan, that is something that you may want to look into, is algal, ALGAL oil, or microalgae supplements to actually give you the omega-3 fatty acids that you need without the fish part of it, since you are vegan. So when we're talking about omega-3 fatty acids, we've got the ALA, we've got the DHA, and we've got the EPA. And the ALA is what we're getting from plant-based foods. That's when you see people talking about the chia seeds, the hemp seeds, the walnuts, the soy. But unfortunately, our body's ability to convert that ALA into a really usable, helpful form, which is the EPA and the DHA, is really minimal. So our body's not really good at that. So you've got to keep that in mind, and you might consider supplementing. Now, all these things that I'm mentioning, your doctors can run tests to see how you perform in these different areas, to see what you need more of, and I always advocate for that. But sometimes an expensive test is out of the window. So these are some things that you can do to integrate into your lifestyle so that you're not feeling sick, you're not feeling tired, and you're not gaining all that weight. All right. So chia seeds, Brussels sprouts even have a good amount of omega-3. Actually, Brussels sprouts, actually when you cook them, they even develop more omega-3s, more concentrated. So hemp seeds, flax seeds. So that's where that is. Now the next thing that's really important that I find that a lot of vegetarians and vegans are lacking is zinc. And we get the majority of our zinc from seafood, oysters, like nuts, seeds, even baked beans, and meat. And some symptoms of having low zinc, food doesn't taste like anything. You're not really smelling. People are like, can you smell that? You're like, nah, I don't really smell it. Another sign might be that you got these wounds. You maybe get a cut or a scrape, and it takes forever for it to heal. Those are signs of zinc deficiency. So zinc is really, really important when it comes to synthesis of our hair and our nails and everything. Actually, when we think about zinc, there are about 100 enzymes that the zinc is involved in processing within our body. So zinc is really important. You don't hear about it very much. But the one time you hear about zinc is when people aren't feeling good, right? They go get some Zicam or some zinc. And what zinc is known to do is kind of boost the immune system. So imagine what it does to your immune system when there's none on there. And actually weight gain is a big thing too. So when we're talking about zinc, you do have to oftentimes supplement your zinc in order to make sure that you're getting enough of it. Now there is there's some zinc in like almonds. There's a little bit of zinc in seeds and things like that. So make sure that you're getting enough zinc, because the estimates are that 70% of us are deficient in zinc anyway. So then if you have a restrictive diet, then you are even more likely to be deficient in zinc. All right, now the next thing, of course, we got to talk about protein. So there are some amazing ways to get protein from plant sources, right? It doesn't have to be meat that you're getting your protein from, because what we need for protein is the building block, like the thing that all of our hormones are made from. Our enzymes, our muscles, our tissue. Protein is that important. And I think the thing that makes protein important for me, and for those of you who are weight conscious, is that protein makes us feel full. Like after a protein load, our body feels satiated, it feels satisfied, and it's not thinking that it needs to spend a whole lot of time actually eating more and more and more. So protein is good because it helps curb your appetite. But the average 150-pound person is going to need about 56 grams of protein a day. Now, when you're low on your protein, let's talk about some things that could be like. You might start to feel swollen, puffy. Your legs are swelling up more than normal. You look up, your face is puffy. We call that kwashiorkors, where actually everything is getting swollen and puffy. It's because of a protein deficiency. Yeah, everything is starting to have trouble healing. Same thing, same types of things. You're feeling tired, irritable. You're losing your muscle mass, your skin, your hair, your nails. All of that just seems to not be right. Those are often signs that your protein levels are low. So let's talk about protein. So now I've just mentioned that about a 150-pound person is going to need about 56 grams of protein a day. Well, if you eat 3 ounces of roasted chicken, that's only 27 grams. A cup of lentils, which are beans, is about 18 grams. So you've got to make sure that you're supplementing, making sure you're getting enough beans and you're getting enough nuts. Now, for those of you who are just vegetarian, you can use whey protein. But for those of you who are vegan, whey protein is off of the table. So you might actually end up needing to supplement your protein. So all of these indices can be checked. It's much harder to check your protein levels. And have it actually mean something. It's not hard to check it, but the data doesn't really give us much information. So you have to pay attention to yourself and then look at your diet. When you think about what you've eaten this week, were you getting any protein, right? So the main goal here is to make sure that you know that just by becoming a vegan doesn't automatically make you the most healthiest individual on this planet, right? what makes you healthy is making sure that what you're putting in your body is as clean as it can possibly be, that you're getting a variety of vegetables and fruits, that you're making sure you're getting your protein, your vitamin D, your vitamin B12, your omega-3 fatty acids, your calcium, your iron. I could have gone on and on and on about the nutrients, but I picked the top ones that I feel are the most concerning. So when it comes down to it, should you supplement your diet? Maybe get some supplements and some vitamins. Maybe so. But what you want to do is spend some time talking to your healthcare provider and figuring out what is going to work for you. You might decide to see a functional medicine practitioner who might look at your DNA, look at some other indices, and help you decide which diet is right for you. Because I think oftentimes we might jump on the bandwagon for a diet and then look up and maybe it didn't give you the outcomes that you thought you were going to have. Okay? So once again, I'm Dr. Rachael Ross. I am a family medicine physician and a clinical sexologist. Those of you who are students of the Dr. Rachael Institute or have heard of it, you know that diet and wellness is a big part of our sexuality coaching program. We train master sexperts and sexuality coaches, clinical sexuality coaches, and a big part of that is making sure that we educate on the importance of diet, exercise, lifestyle, eating as clean as we possibly can and as close to the earth as we possibly can. All right, so I go live on YouTube and I stream out to everywhere else on Fridays. I took a couple Fridays off because I was on summer break vacation, but I'm back now, so I'm very open to topics. I had tons of my medicine practice patients and friends just asking me questions after questions about health-related stuff. So that's why we're taking a dive in this direction. But of course, I'm still always going to be talking about sex and relationships because, honestly, wellness, sex, relationships, diet, they all swirl together. They all swirl together to make us into who we are. So like this video, share this video. If you have someone who's gone vegan recently and needs this information, please, tag them below. Because I do want to make sure that we know that just being vegan isn't going to make you healthy. You've got to put a little planning into it, and there's a lot of stuff that you've got to avoid, and a lot of stuff that you have to make sure that you get enough of. All right? So for more information on the Dr. Rachael Institute, visit drrachaelinstitute.com. Follow me at Dr. Rachael, DrRachael, and I will see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend. If you're like me, you love Fridays, and you are about to get it started. All right? Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you later.